What if I told you you could accomplish anything you want in just 10 minutes a day? Writing a book, starting a business, working on that relationship you've been neglecting, anything. Maybe you tell me I'm wrong, that life is just too busy right now, that you don't have the time, and that you will get to it when life slows down. This is exactly what I told myself for 12 years. I had a successful corporate career, a title I was very proud of. I was busy, and I used being busy like a badge of honor. But underneath it all, there was this feeling I couldn't quite name. A sense that though everything looked perfect from the outside, it didn't quite fit on the inside. And every time that feeling came about, I scheduled over it. I got super productive. Grocery, laundry, another goal, another deliverable. I waited 12 long years before I ever did anything about that voice in my head that kept telling me there has to be more to life. Maybe you know that feeling, that one thing you've been meaning to accomplish, learning a new skill, starting that side gig, changing careers, figuring out your purpose, anything. And maybe like me, you're waiting for the right time, the right circumstance, the right version of yourself. I now know this to be true with every part of me. The change that you have been waiting for can begin in just 10 minutes a day. Will Durant said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Neuroscience now backs up his claim. Every time we take a deliberate action, like writing for 10 minutes, stretching for 10 minutes, learning a new language for 10 minutes, we are physically changing our brain. Every single time we repeat an action, we are laying down myelin, a fatty insulation layer along neural pathways, which makes those actions slightly easier, slightly more natural, and slightly more you. Laying down myelin is a biological mechanism designed to help us get more efficient in the things we repeatedly do. So 10 minutes of action isn't just 10 minutes. It's the literal construction of a new self. Let the math show us what's happening. 10 minutes a day is 70 minutes a week, which is roughly 60 hours a year. That's over a work week dedicated to the one thing that matters to you most. Focused and intentional, 10 minutes compounds over time. But the compounding isn't just about time. It's about something deeper. Every single time you show up for your 10 minutes, you're keeping a small promise you've made to yourself. I know this sounds insignificant, but think of all the promises we make to ourselves that we do not keep. The gym, that side project, that thing we said will start on Monday. For many of us, most of us who have become exceptionally reliable for other people, we have unintentionally become the one person we trust the least. 10 minutes of action changes this. Show up for 10 minutes today, you've kept one promise. Show up for a week, you've kept 7. Show up for an entire month, and something starts to shift. Not in just the skill that you're building, but in how you see yourself. You stop becoming someone with good intentions, and you start becoming someone who follows through. I am someone who does what I say I will do becomes your identity, and you start to trust yourself. And when you start trusting yourself, you start attempting bigger things. My aha moment came from an unexpected place. I was venting to a friend about how busy I was, that I didn't have time for anything. She didn't offer any advice. She didn't say, take a day off or find a new job. She just looked at me and asked, What's wrong with being busy? What else would you be doing? I laughed it off and it ended there. But that night, when I was in bed, I couldn't get what she said out of my mind. Why was I complaining? What would I be doing if all of a sudden my calendar was completely empty? I clearly had 10 minutes that day to complain to her. I had no idea what the answer was. I had never stopped long enough to see the gap between who I was, the life I was living, and the life I wanted to live. I asked you at the beginning of this talk, what is that one thing you haven't started yet? For me, it was figuring out what brought me joy. So I started an experiment, 10 minutes a day, every morning before the day started. Just me and myself. I meditated, I walked, I listened to audiobooks, and I slowly started to close the gap between who I was at work and who I was when no one was paying me. And that experiment changed my life. I believe it can change yours too. I have found 3 steps which will help us start and finish the tasks that we have been putting off. First, name the chapter before you write it. A new chapter needs a title, not a goal, not a smart objective, a title. The season I finally said yes to myself. The chapter, I got control of my health. The year, I figured out what brings me joy. Your brain is a story writing machine. Give it a story to write. Second, ask yourself, what is the next small, simple step I can take in just 10 minutes a day that can get me from exactly where I am right now closer to where I want to be? If you want to write a book, spend 10 minutes a day researching what it takes to self-publish. Once you have that process down, move on to journaling for 10 minutes a day so you can figure out what your topic is going to be about. Once you have the topic, you move on to the next small, simple 10-minute-a-day task. And third, protect those 10 minutes like they're sacred, because they are. Not convenient, sacred. Make them a non-negotiable part of your day. Tell your family, tell your friends, close the door, put down your phone. These 10 minutes are dedicated to your future self. Most of us give our best hours to someone else's agenda and our worst hours, or even worse, no hours to our dreams. Remember, if you're not willing to schedule it in, you're not willing to do it. Then, when you show up, measure starts, not results. We measure results, pounds lost, words written, dollars saved, and when the results come in slowly, we get discouraged and we quit. Instead, measure starts. Every time you show up for your 10 minutes, that's a win, regardless of the output. After 30 starts, you're 300 minutes in, and the results will just follow. I asked you at the beginning, what's that chapter you haven't written yet? I want to suggest it's not because you lack time, money, talent, or looks. You might be busy. Busy is comfortable. Busy is socially acceptable, and it doesn't give you enough time to sit in the silence to really hear what's underneath it all. So we use busy as an excuse. If you take away one thing from today, let it be this. You can accomplish anything you want in just 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes where you take focused, intentional, small, simple steps towards that one thing you haven't accomplished yet. Start today. Thank you.